Thank you all for being here today, and thank you to the Boston Police Gaelic Column of Pipes and Drums for that spectacular entrance. It's a nice, soft Irish day today. So, 12 years ago, my father and Dan Buckley and myself looked at this site down here on Seaport Boulevard, and we talked about doing something special. My dad spent his whole life erecting buildings, and we agreed that this is an amazing site, surrounded by natural beauty and a spectacular city, and it cried out for a beautiful, iconic building. Shortly thereafter, we started developing our vision, and Mayor Walsh shared his vision of a Boston that embraced iconic design. That day, I met my good friend Howard Elkus, and we agreed with Mayor Walsh. We scrapped all the other plans that we had, and when Howard imagined a jewel in the sky, he tore off a piece of tracing paper, as he was wont to do, and slashed away with a black pen, and with a creative flourish, he revealed a simple, stunning, sail-like structure that will be the St. Regis Residences, Boston. So with a beautiful design, an amazing site, and a world-class architect, the process launched. That process made this project better. We listened and we learned throughout the process. We responded to city and state's recommendations, and we incorporated the wants and desires of an entire community. We partnered with long-term advocates like Donna Brown, and they are the true heroes of our society. They inspired us to do more, and we established real partnerships that will be lifelong friendships. Through the diligence of people of goodwill, we are here today to make this dream a reality. On behalf of my beautiful wife, Nicole, and kids, and the entire Cronin family, we want to thank you all. I'd especially like to thank, from the city, Mayor Walsh and his amazing, dedicated team of professionals. Starting with Brian Golden and a great team at the BPDA, project manager Casey Hines, Sheila Dillon and Devin and our friends at DNB, Mike Brawl and Public Works crew, Jan Fiandaka, Krista McGosh, and Jerome Smith. All of our amazing elected officials who work with us every day, Senator Collins, almost Representative Beale, Councillors Flaherty, Flynn, former Councillor Lenehan, and Linda Dosina Forey, who's moved on. At the state level, one of the first people we met with when we designed this building, after talking with Mayor Walsh, was Governor Charlie Baker and Lieutenant Governor, and their staff. And they have been absolutely outstanding to work with, and a breath of fresh air for our state. At that state level, Secretary Matt Beaton, all the EEA agencies from DEP to CZM, they were tough, but they were fair. Our friends at MCCA, especially David Gibbons, who's here today, Massport, Tom Glynn, and all the tremendous staff, including amazing Elizabeth Larkin, who was our project manager, Donna Brown and Mark Winkler, our partners in the O'Conaway Affordable Housing Project, and all of our partners in the non-profit community, especially the South Boston Neighborhood House, the Gavin House, Save the Harbor, Society of Arts and Crafts, Artists for Humanity, the Children's Museum, the Martin Richard Foundation, which is very important to us, and let's not forget the Dodo Knee South Boston Collaborative Center. Congressman Lynch and all his staff have been fantastic to deal with, and they're tireless champions for their constituency, and some of the nicest people you'll ever meet to boot. And all of our project team, Michael and Steve, and all our family at the Cronin Group, Gary and Bobby, it's been a pleasure and an honor working with you guys. My business partners and good friends, Dennis and Jim. My dear friend and visionary, the late Howard Elkus of Elkus Manfredi. David is here today. My great friend John Moriarty, who with John Moriarty and Associates, we're partnering. And Gary Joyal and his team at Joyal Capital Management, our partners. Our finance partners, Jim Moore, Marilyn, and all at JP Morgan and Mac. And Tim Grecius and Dana Jacobson from Marriott, and you'll hear from Tim in a little while. Frankly, the best consulting team that's ever been assembled in the city, I think. Tom Skinner and all our friends, Duranton and Astus, all our legal eagles, from Sullivan and Worcester, Pierce Atwood, Mintz Levin, McDermott, Will and Elmery, and Paul Genie and Norton. That's a lot of lawyers. Truly, the best in the business, and they've become our extended family. And I want to thank all the men and women who will build this building, Brian Doherty and our friends from the building trades, and Tommy Flynn and our friends from the Carpenters Union. For my friends that are not with us today, Billy McDermott, Dodo Nee, and my mother, we miss you. And for all of our friends that are here today, thank you for helping make our dream a reality. We wouldn't be here without you. I'd like to introduce Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon. First, I just want to say thank you to John, your team. What an incredible leadership that you bring to the table to see this project come to this point and for where it will go. I want to acknowledge your family, your 3 beautiful children who, I think when you started this 12 plus years ago, were not here yet. So you've got a lot to show for 12 years of time. I just want to start by saying, you saw something here, your vision a long time ago here in the Seaport when it was mostly parking lots and warehouses and an empty space, a blank space. And you took a chance, you took a risk, you made a decision to invest in a property and in a neighborhood and also made it your home to live in day to day. And for you to work through all of the challenges associated with developing a parcel of waterfront property in Boston shows that you have great commitment and tenacity. Somebody mentioned to me earlier today you should get the award for tenacity for not giving up on this project. But you had to make some really important decisions along the way, and I would like to credit your first decision listening to Mayor Walsh to accept his vision and ripping up your sheets and going in a different direction. That takes a big person to be able to do that. And the reason that was important is because not only is this a transformational project, it's a permanent project. This is probably the last area of waterfront in the Seaport that you'll see developed to this scale. So it has to get done right. And it shows your commitment as a private citizen, someone very capable at developing this level of property, but understanding the concerns of a mayor who has called this home all his life and wanted to make sure we got this right. And I just want to credit all of you, private sector and the public sector, working together in collaboration to absolutely hit a home run in getting this perfect for the Seaport, for a neighborhood that we call home, that will be a place where people come from all over the world to look at these residents to perhaps call home. I also just want to say it takes a few things. First of all, that vision and understanding what that vision is, and then being able to put the plans together to have that vision become more of a reality, and then complete execution on the plan. And plans don't go always the way you would like, and having the flexibility and the wherewithal to struggle through those challenges. And of course, working with the city and the state through the permitting process, which is daunting at the very least, to do it is to be credited. I also want to thank you for not only recognizing the private homes here, but that the access to the waterfront and incorporating public features so that that Harborwalk connecting the Seaport into the city is really important for in perpetuity. This permanent place, this permanent residence will also be in perpetuity accessible through the waterfront for people to come and enjoy. So on so many levels, you get this right. I want to say on behalf of the governor and our entire team how proud we are that this is going to be the newest residence here, but also the jobs associated with the construction on this project and the permanent jobs that will come with this are very important, not only to the city, but to the Commonwealth. I also just want to comment on, I do visit all of the cities and towns in this Commonwealth. I've been to all 351 communities. And I do a lot of work and thinking with our administration and local leaders around transformational projects. In a downtown or a main street, trying to figure out how to reuse a mill building to landscape like this in a structure like this. What we're doing across the landscape of our Commonwealth is pretty great. The collaboration, the working together, you know, enticing the private sector investment to come forward is really unleashing a lot of opportunity from one end of the state to the other. But tonight we celebrate a great project, we celebrate a great team, and in a relatively short period of time, in less than 2 years, this is going to be a ribbon cutting that I certainly hope with the governor to be part of. And we wish you all success in the construction phase, safety on the work site, and a big congratulations from the Baker Polito team.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Really appreciate the remarks. Now I'd like to call on Congressman Stephen Lynch to make a few remarks. While he's based in DC, he watches everything that moves here in South Boston and his constituency, and he's been a huge asset and help and friend over the years. Thank you.
You know it's a tough crowd when there's a sword under your seat. I don't know what that's all about, but probably violates a couple of laws at least. But it's great to be here. Can I just say, as much as this is about the building, it's really about John Cronin. And all of those charities that he rattled off, he has been a member of the board of directors for many of them. I know that he has blessed us on the Cushing House, the residential facility that we have to help young people who have been affected by the opioid crisis or heroin addicted. John has been there. You know, I see Kathy Lafferty over there with the neighborhood house, and you know, John's been a champion there. You were so kind to mention Dodo Nee and the work that he did at the Collaborative, and Billy McDermott, who was my consigliere, and we miss him every day. And Howard Elkis. Now I swear, now this is a beautiful design, I shouldn't stand in front of it, but this design, I often thought that Howard Elkis designed it this way as a way of telling us there would be a lot of twists and turns in this project over the years. And it's been a few years. Not only the kids weren't born, I don't think Nicole was born when we started this project. He's a lucky guy, right? But you know, there's so much that this project offers. The wonderful partnership with Donna Brown and South Boston Neighborhood Housing, 46 units of senior housing for low-income seniors. That's John's work, you know. He insisted upon it. And when we were talking about the access to the water, it was John that said, look, you know, they're requiring us to have 20 feet of space there. Why don't we make it 40 feet, so people coming here would, you know, 40 feet from the land that he was to build upon. Said, let's give the public more. And so all of it took all of the goodwill that you've created over these past 20 or 30 years to get this project done. But it is such a gift, and I see my friends in labor out there from all the building trades, and this will be a wonderful piece of work. I think you'll do justice. I know you'll do justice to Howard Elkis, who was a visionary and a peach, just a great guy to work with, and you know, Elkis Manfredi, just a wonderful, wonderful firm. So we've got so much to offer here, and I really think that the mayor did have a lot to do with this. His personal involvement not only shaped the project, but it got it over the goal line as well. And we're just blessed to have his leadership and his presence here with us today. So we're building a neighborhood. We are. We're building a community. And if the best of John Cronin is in this project, South Boston will be better off for all of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Congressman. And now it gives me fantastic pleasure to introduce the next speaker, a great friend, a good Galway man, and the mayor of our city of Boston. Please welcome Madam Jim Walsh.
Thank you, John, and it's an honor to be here today. I want to thank the Congressman, the Lieutenant Governor, all the folks that are up here today for being here. The design engineers, contractors, the building trades. Thank you all for being here today. I'm going to talk about John Cronin in a minute and Nicole, but I also want to welcome John's dad is here, John Cronin from Ireland. And his sister Ann is with us. Thank you, Ann, for being with us. And I know there's other relatives who traveled here for this journey, for this groundbreaking today, so congratulations. This isn't a thatched house back home. This is a pretty big building coming up right now. So I want to congratulate you. To Nicole and the kids, thank you for everything you do. And to John Cronin, Steve Lynch talked about it. I met John Cronin, I think it was 21 years ago roughly, when Mike Knievi asked me to try and help out then the South Boston Collaborative, Total Need Collaborative. And I went over and I sat at a table with Andy, and we started talking about trying to raise some money for the collaborative and help the collaborative out. And we were working with the congressman, then the senator, and working to get line items in the budget. And they started to put events together. And there was a comedian, John Cronin was there, and I asked about who's John Cronin, and he owns a few pubs in South Lee, and I said, okay, it's not a bad man there. And we had an event for a fundraiser. And John came in with tickets to the Patriots and tickets to the Bruins and tickets to the Red Sox and tickets to the Celtics, and he had this and that, everything else, and he donated all this stuff. It was amazing, and we had the silent auction, we had a live auction, and then when the event was over, John Cronin bought every single thing back. And that was his heart and his generosity, giving back to the community of South Boston. I can honestly stand here today and tell you there has not been one time that I've called him for something, for someone else, that he's hesitated, that he said, let me get back to you, that he said, call the office, that he said, let me think what I can do. He's never said that. He's one of the most generous people that I've ever met in truly giving away what he has. And you can see that with his wife by his side and his kids and how beautiful family they are. And as Steve Lynch said, today is an exciting day for Boston, which I'll talk about in a second. But it's a really exciting day for John Cronin because he deserves to be here today, groundbreaking this beautiful building that's behind me today. So John, congratulations. And to John's dad, you raised an incredible boy. You raised an incredible person. He might have left home, but he found a new home here, and he's loved here as much as he is back home, so thank you as well. This is a special project for a lot of reasons. The Congressman talked about the affordable elderly housing near Moakley Park, 114 units of new housing to meet the high demand, to take the pressure off our middle-class stock. It's also going to create hundreds of construction jobs, retail, restaurants, hospitality. This project will patch together the Harborwalk and increase public access to the waterfront, something that you might have read about in the newspaper, and it was in John's original version, to make sure that that happened. 30% of this lot will be accessible space open to Boston Harbor, where the access was missing. John also talked about, and he didn't give himself any credit, but Martin's Park, which is named after Martin Richard, which is a fully accessible playground, which is not too far from here. He made a generous donation to that park, to build that park. The inclusive climate-ready playgrounds is nearly complete in 4 Point Channel, so the park does an awful lot for our city. And John, without your support, we'd still be probably making calls for that, so thank you for that. We're pushing for climate resiliency on the waterfront. This project includes the deployable flood barricades, and the first floor will allow for the future increase in flood proofing up to an additional 30 feet. So as we think about the future of our waterfront, as we think about planning the next step of our waterfront, when we unveil some conversations over the next couple of weeks, we won't have to talk to John Cronin about it because this project already includes it. On top of all that, it's also going to add another attraction, a memorable design to our waterfront. Me and John spoke about 4 years ago, right after I got elected mayor, we talked about this project, we talked about the waterfront, and some called the Seaport a suburban office park. I thought that was too harsh. But I also thought about how do we make sure that we raise the bar. And that's what John's team has done. You've heard Howard Elquist's name many times today. I want to acknowledge Howard's friends and colleagues who are thinking of him today, because this truly is a design. And I think Stephen Lynch is absolutely right. He thought ahead, thinking that there's a lot of twists and turns in this project, so he was absolutely right. So thank you, Congressman, for that. But he helped bring this 21st century Boston to life in this design. This will be the final gift to our city, and the one that we are thankful for. So I'd like to say to Howard, thank you for that. These are the values that we grow by a city. Right now in city, we have $9 billion worth of construction going on. We're talking today about what those numbers represent. More opportunity in Boston, a more inclusive Boston, a more resilient Boston, a more creative Boston. And I want to thank every single person here. If I didn't mention you, somebody probably will, but if I don't mention you, truly you are part of this great project, this great team, and this great design. I want to thank you all. And to the end, I want to thank John and Nicole for investing in our city, for giving back to our city, and for loving our city. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor Walsh. And just as the Mayor was speaking about climate resiliency and change and the design of the building, we've spent the last 2 years with Elquist Manfredi and the BPDA to fine-tune that process and to think ahead and try and be one of the most forward-looking buildings on the Seaport and in the city of Boston. And our driver in that was Brian Golden, Executive Director of the BPDA, and I'd like to have Brian say a couple of words. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, John Cronin. Thank you, Mayor Walsh. Thank you, Congressman Lynch. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Polito. It is a great pleasure for me to be here today I'm standing here on behalf of 240 professionals at the Boston Planning and Development Agency who've been working closely with the development team on this project for some years. We're as happy as anybody out there that we have finally come to this really important day. I think we value most the things in life that we work really hard for. That's kind of obvious, but the harder it is to achieve something, the more we value it. When you raise a child, complete a degree, train for a skill, build a business. When you work hard to create something, when you nurture something through painstaking effort, day in and day out, persevering with determination, you value it all the more when your goal is achieved. And it's often not just about the value you've created for yourself. There is real satisfaction in knowing that you've created something important for others, for the world, something that will endure long after you're gone. So that's what we're celebrating today. John Cronin and his team, Steve O'Neill and Michael Knavi, are the ones we tend to be most connected with throughout the development process. But they've created something important. through a lot of determined effort that will benefit generations to come. John Cronin and his team are creating an iconic building that will serve as a signature structure on the Boston Harbor and the skyline. They're creating access to the harbor where there has been none. They're creating an important new piece of the Harborwalk along the water's edge that will be open for all. They're creating new residences for a growing Boston, including dozens of units for affordable housing for elderly Bostonians with lower incomes. And we thank Donna Brown and her team at the CDC for their efforts to make that happen going forward. John Cronin and his team are helping to create Martin Richard Park. As the mayor just indicated, it's a universally accessible park for children of all abilities. The park will be resilient and help to protect this Seaport neighborhood as sea level rises in coming decades. But from day one, when we at the BPDA and Mayor Walsh started the discussion about developing this property, we have been excited about the possibilities. As planning agency and regulator of land use, we work to ensure that development serves the best interests of the city's people, all of them. We're confident that we got this right. We are proud to have shared this journey with a responsible, civically minded developer who wanted to do this the right way. And that's because of who John Cronin is. He's the consummate gentleman. He's a thoughtful neighbor and friend to thousands in this city, including 2,500 employees who make their livings and put bread on the table for their families as a result of the work that John Cronin does and the businesses he's built. John and his team spent years working an arduous process at the state and local level, building support by listening and responding to every challenge with a genuine commitment to the greater good. Now I'd like to thank the team at the Boston Planning and Development Agency that worked so hard to bring us to this day. Casey Hines has been out here for a couple years, working the community process in the neighborhood, as well as our own bureaucracy back at City Hall. Thanks to Casey. Rich McGinnis and Chris Bush work our waterfront planning issues, an extremely challenging undertaking, again, both at the city and the state level, and they have navigated this project to a successful destination through their waterfront planning efforts. David Carlson, who helped give life to the mayor's call for innovative, iconic design. Thanks to David Carlson and his team in our urban design department. And finally, Lisa Richardson, who worked the complications of this project and helped principally, the thing we're kind of focusing on an awful lot, is its ability to deliver dozens of affordable units to low-income elderly folks, and Lisa Richardson worked hard to make sure that this project was able to do that. Finally, given the nautical sailing spirit of the city of Boston that this majestic building will evoke, I now wish you fair winds and following seas as you turn this building from dream to enduring reality. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian. And as Brian mentioned, I think one of the most exciting things for us throughout this project has been to partner with Donna Brown and the South Boston Neighborhood Development Corp to create 46 new affordable housing units for seniors that are below the poverty line. So I'll let Donna speak a little bit about that project, but it's been fantastic to work with you.
So first I want to congratulate John and his awesome team for this groundbreaking today. It has been so exciting to be able to be here and watch this project launch. And this is just, you know, today is really a Southie Love Fest, so I hope you're all having a great time because this has become a true South Boston partnership. And like a lot of South Boston partnerships, it started with a breakfast at Mull's. So I had a project that we were planning to do on a site owned by the Boston Housing Authority. It's called Major Michael J. O'Connor Way. And you know, I'm very grateful to John to give me this opportunity today to talk about our project to build 46 units of affordable elderly housing. So when a project on the waterfront or anywhere else is being built and it's residential units, the City of Boston has a policy called inclusionary development. And Mayor Walsh has done a fantastic job of enforcing that policy and expanding upon it and requiring developers to contribute to affordable housing by either keeping the units on their site or paying a fee per unit to develop them somewhere else in the city. So as a South Boston resident and someone who's been working on affordable housing in the neighborhood for many decades now, the challenge is always, where do you find land to do a project? And in this case, we have a wonderful partnership with the Boston Housing Authority on a parcel of land in the Mary Ellen McCormick development near Andrew Square. And you need money. So after talking to my dear friend Michael Knievy at Mull's, we had a project and they had a project on the waterfront. And the unique thing about this one is this has not just been a write the check and you're all set, go build your building. This has truly been a partnership where we've been working with the Cronin team throughout the permitting process for both of our projects. So we're looking to break ground on our project in a few weeks, and we're thrilled to be here today for the dedication of this project. But the other critical thing is that we're able to reach a population of seniors who, even with the inclusionary development policy, really wouldn't want to live in a condo on the waterfront, nor would they be able to afford a condo on the waterfront. With this partnership, we're able to create housing that addresses the need for, frankly, the old ladies who come into our offices every day and say, my landlord is selling the building and I have to leave. And oh, by the way, I only make Social Security, so I'm only making $12,000 or $20,000 a year. And they are so priced out of our community, and this O'Connor Way development will give us a chance to address that need. It also gives us a chance through this partnership with the Boston Housing Authority to give Mary Ellen McCormick residents who may have raised their families in a unit that's a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom unit, and they're now elderly and they're alone because their children are grown, to move into elderly housing that's accessible and affordable, and will have services provided by the South Boston Neighborhood House. So when I said this was a Southie Love Fest, that's what I mean. This has been a partnership at so many levels in South Boston, and a commitment by all of us in South Boston to help this iconic building get built, but also to really serve a need in our community. So I'm grateful to John and his team, and I'm so thrilled for you, and look forward to having you join us at our groundbreaking soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Don, and we will definitely be there next week. So we've heard quite a bit about the iconic structure and the spectacular work that Howard did. And we have an amazing site and an amazing city. And we wanted to create the ultimate luxury condominium and living accommodations for people, and to give them an opportunity to experience something that perhaps is definitely new to Boston. And with that, we partnered with Tim Regis and Marriott and Dana Jacobson to bring the St. Regis Residences Boston to life. Please welcome Tim.
So I've been going to a lot of groundbreakings over many years, and this is the best one I've ever seen, so congratulations. My cue to keep it short was when they started passing out champagne, so I will keep it short. I live in the Washington area, and I've grown up a baseball fan, and I still am one today. It's terrific to actually be in a city that is playing baseball in October. I don't see that much in Washington, so I was hoping I could see a game today, but this is the case. So go Sox, beat the Yankees if they end up playing them. So I can't say enough about the design of the building. We've talked about it a lot, but I think we're going to be proud to put the St. Regis name on this beautiful, iconic building that's rendered behind us here, especially in this neighborhood, the Seaport neighborhood. I've seen it growing up over the many years, and it's just a spectacular place to live, work, and great community. So there's so many people here today because I've been in the development business for a couple decades now, and I realize how many people it takes to pull off a project of this complexity and scale, and everybody should be very proud of it. John, you and your team, you were talking beforehand with Dana about how much of an easy partnership this was, because that's the mentality of how you actually work in business, and we're very proud to be partnering with you. I also will say that this is a proud day for Marriott International. We've been in the Boston market with many hotels, many brands for many, many years, rich, deep history here, but there's been one glaring absence, and that's the St. Regis brand. We acquired the Starwood Corporation a couple years ago now, and right away we noticed there was no St. Regis in this market, and we were going to change that. It's an iconic brand that has been around for over a century now, and we don't take it lightly when we partner with somebody. So when we started talking to John and his organization, it was high on his radar screen to potentially flag this with the St. Regis brand, and we figured it would be he's the right partner and he's the right group to actually create that partnership with. So very proud of that, and we look forward to, again, continuing to work with you over the next couple years here to get this flagged a St. Regis. I'll skip over my talking points about the building because it's pretty evident that everybody's very familiar with who designed this and the iconic nature of what this is going to be. Last, I'll say on the service side, we look forward to when we open this, we'll be bringing the St. Regis lifestyle to the owners and their guests on a daily basis, and really look forward to the opening that we'll have not too long from now, and we'll be adding another luxury lifestyle residential property to the Marriott International portfolio. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim and Dana. Now I'd like to introduce Will from St. Regis. We're going to perform a ceremonial sabering. So stand back and get ready to sip your champagne.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. John Jacob Astor started the tradition of sabering when he opened the St. Regis, New York in 1904. This is something that we continue every day at every St. Regis around the world. It's a nice ritual we like to do with our guests to celebrate the end of the day and the beginning of the evening. And we like to invite them for a small toast and a sip of champagne. And we also like to quote Napoleon when we say champagne. In victory, one deserves it, and in defeat, one needs it. Just gonna give myself a little bit of space here.
Thank you, Will. So just in closing, I want to thank everybody here. Really, really heartens us to see so many people turn out on a soft day. And if you'd like to join us, we're going to pop down to Tony C's. We might have a drink or two. Thank you.